I'm putting this in the Trading 101 section because as a new trader, maybe you've seen these stats, maybe you're feeling, is it even really worth it? Well, I want to explain exactly why this 90% number exists in the first place. Maybe you don't know what this 90% refers to, and this is not scientific, but most people agree within the realm of 90% is the failure rate of people that try to, get very active in the market. Yeah, 90% of traders do fail. Like I said, some people may argue it's higher. Some people say, maybe it's a little bit lower, but let's just use 90%. Why is this the case? And again, I can't say that I have done, exact market research and had run scientific studies and have massive data. Actually, I kind of do have data, lots of data points now if you watch my Clay Trader Mail series, but that's besides the point. But this is going to be the cause of a massive amount of that number. Now, some people, hey, I just want to gamble. A gambler is going to gamble. Some people just don't have the right mindset for it. So what I'm going to talk about, is this the reason why every single person fails? I'm not saying that. There's some people, like I said, they're just not built for it up here. It is a very mental game. But in the vast majority of times, this is what's going on. So why is the failure rate right up there around 90%? Two main points. First, can be summarized by good. Second, by order. Good and order. So what I want to do is, we have this, well, I guess it's a great thing, but it's called the internet, right? It's your internet. And out on the internet, there is all kinds of free stuff. I realize I'm stating the obvious. So all the free stuff is represented by these dots right here. So you have YouTube videos, you have blog articles, you have social media, you have, who knows, maybe if you're watching this video 5 years from now, there will be that many more sources out there. But point being, there's no denying there is a lot of information on the internet, and a lot of this information is free. Again, you can't deny it, and I'm not going to sit here as somebody that sells courses and says, no, there's no good information out there. There is good information out there. But that's where the catch-22 comes in, because there's a lot of information out there. So that's where the first assumption on good. So let's say, I'm not paying. Clay, you're a scam artist. You charge for your courses. You are a con man. You are trying to rip me off. I am not going to pay you a penny. I am going the free route because there's this thing called the internet, Clay, and everything's free on it. Fair enough. I can't argue against the point about everything being free on the internet and there being lots of information out there. But good. There is a lot of crap out there too. I would assume that I'm kind of stating the obvious when I say that. But that pertains to trading and investing also. There is good information, but there is a lot of bad crap out there too. But let's just assume, you go out into the internet and you select each one of these points. And you know what? All those points that you select out of the vast majority of the internet is all good information. It is good. Well done. This is a pretty big assumption on my part, but that's just, why do 90% of people fail? Because it's already hard enough to figure out. Because remember, when you're new, you don't know what you don't know. So how are you supposed to know what is good information when you don't know what you don't know? That's a massive your mind should just be blown right now by that. But that's why this is such a big assumption. For somebody that doesn't know what they doesn't know, is still able to pick out, all the good points of information on the internet. But that's only half the battle. The second part comes in order. Meaning, okay, you have all these bits of information, but now what order do you learn them in? Let's just look at, a favorite example of mine. If you want to become a brain surgeon, does the order of brain surgeon go, okay, you go to the hospital and you start cutting people open, and then you go back and you learn about biology, and then you go and you do a residency, and then you go back and just learn a little bit about, basic chemistry. No, you're not going to be hopping all around. When you are getting an education to become a doctor or anything in life, you start off, for me example, when I was going to get my engineer degree, they did not start me out at calculus. They said, no, let's make sure you know how to do algebra. Heck, let's make sure you know how to add and subtract and divide and multiply. And then we'll work up to calculus. Basic example there. But for an engineer to start off at calculus without even knowing how to count to 10, how to add, subtract, divide, multiply. That doesn't make any sense. So the same is true with trading. If you've picked out all these good bits of information, but you start to learn them in the improper order. So if your order looks something like, heck, I'll say that you actually start in the right spot. So it goes something like A, and then you're at D, and then you're at E, and then you're at B, and then you're at, F, and then you're at C. That's not the alphabet, right? You want A, B, C, D, so on and so forth order, because that's what's going to make most sense to you. If you start learning about something before something else, when you should have learned about that instead of the other thing, things get convoluted very quickly. So the big two things that need to be accomplished if you're using the free education route, and remember, this could be internet, you got the library. Believe it or not, yeah, libraries still exist. So you throw in the library, you have all these books. What is actually a good book? What's kind of just pure gart? So much stuff, and then you got to learn it in the right order. And this is where the 90%, the vast majority, is coming from. And real quick, you say, oh, Clay, I get it though. You sell courses, so of course you're going to bash the free education route. Well, my reply to that, I'm not going to reply here. All I will say is, when it came to real estate investing, I spent over $4,000 on my education. I'll put a link to that down below the video, and you can watch exactly how and where I learned how to trade. And I back all that up with screenshots and all that sort of thing. But moral of the story, this is not a sales pitch on mine. I lived through this whole free thing, and when it came time to learn something new, when I decided to get into real estate investing, I was gladly open to paying for education to the tune of over $4,000. Like I said, if you want the details and all that, just watch that video down below. So as somebody that's new, maybe you're thinking, you know what, everything's free. And you know what? Like I said, maybe you nail it. Maybe you pick out all the good bits of information. Maybe you put them in the exact order you should be learning them, and you're never going to have to pay a dime to learn how to trade. I suppose that's possible. But when you're looking at numbers of 90% failure rate, I don't know if the free education route was really that effective. I think we could all agree that this number would be at least a little bit lower than that. 60%, 50%. Because everybody has access to this stuff. So if trading was that easy, why is that number still so high? This is why right here, because you got to find the good information out of all the stuff out there, and then you got to put it in the proper order. So hopefully this kind of opens your eyes, maybe rethinks or realigns what your approach to the market may be if you're interested in trying to learn more about all this stuff. Again, free has its places. There's plenty of good free stuff out there, but there's just so much stuff out there, which includes the bad stuff. It can get messy in a hurry, especially if you start to learn stuff in a bad. And remember, we assume good, but if all of a sudden you have bad information mixed in with good, and then you're watching it in different orders, 90%. I'm actually surprised it's not higher than that when you really consider just how bad and convoluted things can get. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully this opens up your eyes to what you may or may not be thinking of doing in terms of learning how to trade. If you are interested in trading alongside me and other traders, then I do offer a private trading community known as the Inner Circle. So the two images that you see on the screen, the one image, if you click on it, it will take you to the Inner Circle page and give you all the details about it. The other is going to be a behind the scenes tour that I personally give, so you can see exactly what you are going to get with the subscription. So if that sounds like something that could add value to you as a trader, then go ahead, check it out, and by all means, let me know if you have any questions.